All right. Has anybody ever heard of a self-directed IRA? Anybody ever dealt with it? Anybody?
I've heard of it, but I haven't done anything with it.
I've actually done that many, many years ago. I bought a business using a self-directed IRA, and luckily it was legal. Later on, I found out there are some things that you cannot use. What's that? Who was that? Susanna? Was that you? No? Okay. So anyway, something about self-directed IRAs. They are just IRAs that are offered by custodians that allow the account owners to have more control over the investments in the IRA. These IRAs are usually not offered by the large brokerage companies or banks, as they allow investments that these firms cannot profit from. A brokerage company makes money off of selling investments such as stocks, bonds, or mutual funds. They also make money off of managing these assets, such as being a manager for a mutual fund that buys and sells underlying securities. This business model is not set up to work with alternative assets such as real estate, gold coins, etc., that are more difficult to buy and sell. And that includes businesses, by the way. You can invest in a business and put that in your self-directed IRA. Self-directed IRAs can go a long way in helping the owners achieve their financial goals. This is particularly true if the owner is able to use their experience and knowledge to produce above average returns. Those who invest in alternative assets are often able to do this, whether it's a hedge fund manager who invests in startups, a real estate investor who invests in real estate, or an investor who puts money into precious metals, bullion, or coins, as in the case. Now, the self-directed IRA, there are the short answer about what you can put into a self-directed IRA. It's almost anything that is not prohibited. Now, what is prohibited? Down below, you'll see some examples, but this is not all. Prohibits holding coins and precious metals, certain types of coins and bullion. So there are some things that you cannot invest in a self-directed IRA. Okay. Are there any questions about self-directed IRAs?
Glenn, you hear about a lot of the companies coming out of the woodwork about talking about investing in gold, things like that, and how they talk about conversions from your IRAs into their gold products. Are they trying to do a similar thing here where they're trying to create self-directed IRAs in that sense?
Yes. Yeah. These companies that that's not only sell the coins, but also do investments in it. Sometimes it's a self-directed IRA, or sometimes it's just an IRA, a regular IRA. I used to be in a fund. It was mostly dealing with currency and things like that, but it was not a self-directed IRA. It was a regular IRA.
Yeah, my wife and I were kind of thinking about moving into one of these self-directed ones because we were looking at for property rental investment.
Yeah, you could do that.
There was a lot of work to kind of get it all set up, so we elected not to do it.
Yeah, a lot of people who do the 1031 exchanges put them in self-directed IRAs. In fact, we saw one, I think about a month ago, we saw a client who had a 1031 and it was in a self-directed IRA. And it's a pain. You have to have an intermediary to handle the self-directed IRA.
Yeah, that was our discovery because we were moving a house that we had, a single family residence, which eventually got us our office here. And that was when we were doing that research, how could we make that possible? Right.
So how far did you get?
We elected to stay out of the self-directed IRA, and we did go with a 1031 exchange person to help us with the transaction.
Okay. Like Richard, like if you wanted to buy a second Liberty tax, you could certainly put that in a self-directed IRA.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that's kind of how we were looking at it because for us, it was an investment property as a rental. We were sliding over to an investment property, which was an office building. The office building had a greater value than the house that was being sold. So it met a lot of the conditions. It's just that eventually we had to figure out how to finance it all because of the owners of the building were basically jerking us around with respect to pricing.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah. So timing became an issue.